Hey everybody, before we get into today's video, I just wanted to give a little preface that this is something that we recorded and you're kind of joining us mid-conversation where we're into the topic about shame. So I didn't want to just have you kind of dive in mid without me saying I apologize. I did a little bit of editing here to keep some of our personal conversation out of the public eye, and it's for respect of both Jan and I because we had such a comfortable conversation. I think sometimes we got carried away that we forgot we were recording, and that's totally okay. That's what I love about the authenticity and I guess organic nature of these conversations. And as a host, I do my best to respect the privacy or privacy of myself and others. So, with that, you jump into this conversation. We're talking about the topic of shame, and I hope that was enough context and you guys can enjoy the video. Until next one, peace out. Well,
And
here's the
how
thing. Here's the thing. The truth, in my opinion, is there is a shame in a sense because in my opinion, okay, if the objective is that people should accept me how I am and I should be able to speak about anything that I've done without being feared of judgment or ridicule, that is very idealistic. The truth is, in my experience, you can be, a career limiting move can be exposing yourself and being vulnerable with the wrong people in the wrong place who aren't
true?
going to show the compassion, and they're going to say, no, you
Hmm.
know what, this person has a history of alcoholism. We can't afford to put them in this
Yeah,
role. Now, if the objective is saying that that's wrong, we shouldn't be doing that to people, I get that. The question is, how do we go about getting that, I guess, shift?
that's what I'm talking about. How do you do it?
Okay, that's an
So
interesting thing. I think for me, when we talk about like unconditional life acceptance, is to accept the fact that things are not ideal and that people are judgmental for their own safety and protection, which is totally understandable. And if, for example, I'm a person who has a background of drinking and driving, and
hmm
my family is judging me, even though I've been sober for 10 years, not to drive my
hmm
grandkids because I might drink,
exactly.
and that's not fair. Well, you know what I need to learn to do is accept that life isn't fair at times, and
That's
people have
it.
the right to their boundaries.
And that's what you just said. Is like I think what I'm getting at is for people to know what's out there, to know that people judge you, to know that people are kind of like, oh my God, that's out there. But how does one who's lived through it and come out the other side at this point, how do you address it in your life? Like, how do you deal with people, like you say, with a family member that won't accept it? People are scared. People are scared to even talk about, or I shouldn't say everyone, but it's like, oh, I don't want to really get into this. And yeah, I'm okay. I drank for a while, or I was, I had a problem, but I don't want to talk about it now. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Maybe you don't. I'm not saying, and it can be anonymous, just to hear themselves. But I could be on the wrong track, and that's why, after listening to you a bit and looking at your style, I figured you could give me some feedback, some genuine feedback, instead of just saying, "Oh, this is wonderful, John. You're amazing."
Listening. And here's the thing, not just listening, but validating and being sympathetic. And I know the term sympathetic has been somewhat bastardized. Like people don't seem to
No, but
like that word,
it's
but
too bad. It's all a part of it.
it is. It's just basically saying that sounds really hard. It sounds like you've been through a really hard time. That sounds very
Exactly
difficult.
what I do every week at my meetings, every week. And, is it like I love the meetings and I love the people that come, and sometimes it's just so, oh my gosh, you can't get a positive or an upbeat thought out of any of them. But then I think, I don't know what they went through today. I don't know what happened to them. So you just say, okay, and you keep going. And this is quite funny because in all my years of business and everything, I was never known as patient, but I've become extremely patient in the last, well, since I decided to take the final jump. And I know what it's like because I talk fast, I talk a lot, I can think on my feet, but maybe I didn't give people a chance to listen to me because I was moving on to the next thing. But now when something's coming around, whether it's recovery or what it is I actually fear it. Not the old thing like, okay, quit talking so I can get to tell you what I think.
Right.
I used to do that. But I'm really conscious of it now, and I want to pull back. So that's what brought this on. And I just thought, maybe it's not this, maybe it's something else, but I want to do something, and not for fame or glamour or appreciation, because I've had a good life and I've had a lot of them. I don't need it now. Um, I just want to do it so that I feel like people feel comfortable and feel safe and feel calm around me. And that's the other comment at the end of my meetings, and there's never been one yet in 2 years, is the comments are, I feel so safe when I come here. I feel so good when I leave.
I,
And that
I
means
agree.
more than I tell you, it's just unreal.
It's one of the great things Smart's done for both of us. And
Hmm.
I actually said to somebody in a meeting recently, when we were talking about finding a safe place, sometimes when we're out there, we're being activated, we're in a state of distress, and we want to find that safe place. I
Hmm.
do find it by bringing myself to a meeting. How would I respond if I was in a meeting right now? If I was
Yeah,
with my
yeah,
Smart
that's
community? And
exactly.
it
Yeah.
is. I wouldn't want to see them be going, I'd be like, oh shit, everyone's watching me right now. It seems like when I get behind the wheel of a car, though, nobody's watching me all of a sudden, right? And
Yeah.
that's where, to me, integrity is important. And to me,
Mhm.
integrity is that, am I behaving the way to you as I am when no one's watching?
Yeah.
And I feel it the moment that I start behaving that way. It's guilt and I think you use the word shame in a way that I like to use this word sometime in groups and get people to tell me what it means to them. You're using it in a way that I use it, which is the fear to speak for the judgment that may come, and not just the judgment, but what that judgment may mean. And
What
that
the
in
repercussions out of it
yeah,
will
what
be.
the repercussions of saying what I want to say are, what I'm thinking or feeling. And I think that that extends beyond addiction, especially in today's cancel culture,
Just
where
gonna say that. Like, it's
you get
not
go
just
ahead, Jan.
addiction.
What were you going to say?
No, sorry, I shouldn't butt in. See what I mean? It's not just recovery. It's anything. Like, listen to the news. I'm involved with Little Warriors here in Alberta. I don't know if you've heard of them. I would think it's the only center for sexually abused children out on a ranch, and they're becoming world known. Kids are coming in from Europe. It's been open about 10 years. They're totally got a great success rate. However, 10 years ago, it wasn't a sexy cause. You don't want to talk about it. Ooh, but again, sexual abuse and abuse of any kind, you can always circle back that addiction has probably played a part in it. But it doesn't matter. Domestic abuse to women, they're scared to say anything. They're not only just scared of the person, men or women, of the person that's done the abuse, they're scared of society. And we can go to these $1,000, $2,000 a plate dinners and wax on beautifully about how, oh my gosh, we care, we whatever. So here, where do I give a check? Used to do it. Used to do it for years. And then I got involved in a company called Zebra, which is another for sexually abused kids. And I have to tell you this, Aaron. I was on the board, and we had this big night fundraiser, and there was about 300 people in the room. And the statistics are, I think it was 1 in 3 for little girls and 1 in 6 for boys, or maybe the other way around. I'm not sure. So I was up at the mic, and I said, "You know what?" I said, "Here we are. We're about 300 people." And I said, "Can we honestly want us to fool ourselves that nobody in this room has been affected, or is the affector?" Everyone has been touched, and you don't want to say anything, that's fine, give your money. But that's where the problem is that keep it inside, keep it inside. And I kept so much inside. If you ever read my book, you'll know. And I don't want people to wait till they're 69 years old, to finally say, hey, I've had enough. And quite frankly, Aaron, with this 25,000 that we raised in a month, and I was shocked. And I did this. I reached out to my contacts, my friends, my family, and I said, you know what? Majority of you have lived through my alcohol-fueled escapades. This is your chance to help a program, that helped me get clean and can help thousands of others. And they thought, oh yeah. And I said, you don't have to believe in the program if you don't know about it, but do it for me. Believe in how it helped me. And I know that's how a lot of people said, hey, you're right. Instead of just, hi, I'm doing this, I'm fundraising, can you give me some money? So that's how I approached it. And out of 25,000, and this is me sounding terribly full of myself, but I had about 15,000 just on the people that I knew, and that was in about 2 weeks.
I know Smart. I don't know the other organizations you've worked in charitable aspects with, but I know specifically Smart. The results are in the pudding, as they like to say. Like, if you
Hmm.
see people who come in and out of Smart, if Smart doesn't work for most, they'll at least say, "Well, it just didn't work for me." It will
Right.
not. They won't say it's a shit program. Talk too about the shame thing before we move on to the next question. Was you brought up a lot of topics that are in the realm of mental health. Like, obviously, when it comes to um, the word shame, we can obviously think of things on the far end of the spectrum, if you will, when it comes
Mhm.
to what you brought up about children abuse, what we talked about substance. When we bring it, I guess, closer into the social norms around shame, it's something as simple as, I don't want to tell people I eat meat because I'm surrounded by vegetarians right now.
Yeah.
right? It's like it's that fear of saying whatever is against the grain of the community.
Yeah.
And I just want to throw that out there to the polarization that can occur. What I like to share with people is our values tool, hierarchy, values, and smart, is something that we have a commonality. And whenever I put this on Jan, I do a poll and I'll ask people to respond who values the following 5 things: safety, reliability, respect, loyalty, and honesty. And I usually get a response of around 95 to 100% on all 5 things. And then I point out to the group, I can't get 95 to 100% of people to agree on anything. So the fact that you guys all agreed on this just shows you that you all have something in common, even though I promised I started asking what these things mean or meant to each of you.
Mm-hmm.
You would have different answers. What does it mean to be honest? What does it mean to be loyal?
Exactly.
What is it? There's beliefs around this. But the next time we think we're so different and afraid to share our thoughts, we can say something like, listen, I value my personal health and well-being too. And I don't think getting a vaccine is healthy. Or I think that getting a vaccine is healthy. We disagree on the belief of what it means to be healthy, but we both agree that we want to be healthy. And I think that that's the conversation that can really reduce shame, not saying, well, we can only say the things that are digestible and appropriate to be said.
And acceptable.
I like Donald Trump. I don't like Donald Trump. One of those things seems to be okay to be said. One of those things does not. And it's like, well, that's going to produce shame amongst a group of people, right? Because if they feel as though they can't be heard in this circle because they have an opinion that is contrary
Mm-hmm.
to what the group is, they're going to remain silent. Does that make sense what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
And they're just going to push it down further, and it won't do the group. They'll just zone out because if they can't say in their own way what they really truly believe, it's just not going to work. Like you just, and that's why I did the women's meeting, is because they would sit in meetings and 30, 40 people, most of the males, they'd go to, women would go to say something and a male would be a little sharp or say something, oh, I'm sorry, and they'd shut down. And that's why I
Timid.
thought, screw this.
I get you.
Yeah, I just thought this is bullshit because I said, if you got something to say, and I said it, I said, say it. But they're so conditioned, so used to being shut down. And so I'm not sure this, like, I really appreciate what your feedback, and I'm not sure this is the route I'll go, but I want to do something that'll have an impact, just on recovery, because that's all I can concentrate out right now, because that's all I do. And when you said, like, everybody, in essence, like in recovery, we're all the same. If you're a substance abuse user or behavioral abuse, at the end of the day, it's all the same. It's something that's affecting your life and you just can't. You're just trying so hard.
You
But then
know,
when we start,
sorry, Jane, go on.
no, but then when we start talking, we are different. So just what you're saying about I like Donald Trump, I don't like Donald Trump.
Well, in creating a balanced environment in which both narratives feel like they're okay to be discussed rather than a polarizing one where only one is
Yeah,
propagated, right?
yeah,
So every opinion is okay here, or neither of those opinions are okay here.
right.
In a smart meeting, we don't get into politics, we don't get into religion. But if there is a community in which there is one narrative that seems to be okay and people are okay to say it, yet when it comes from the other side, they're not, that's creating a shame-based environment. And to me, that is in the sense that there are communities of people that have created subcategories of groups that within them they're saying this is a no guilt and no shame environment. However, if I come to their group with an opposite perspective of what
Then
they
look out.
believe,
Yeah,
they are going to guilt and shame the hell out of me. So
yeah.
that's where I find it a very interesting topic when we talk about no shame or changing shame. It's like, well, in order for us to do this, we almost have to, it's like fighting for peace is like fucking for virginity kind of thing. We have to accept that
I've
these
never heard
things.
that.
You've never heard that? Well, it is. It's like we're
Of
gonna.
course it is. Oh my God, that's perfect.
Well, here's the thing: we're gonna create a no shame and no guilt environment by shaming and guilting the fuck out of anyone who comes in here with a contrary opinion, right? But what we need to do is accept
Oh
that
my
certain
goodness.
things in the world actually exist. It's like bullies, for example. How are we going to stop bullying in school? You know what we're going to do? And this is obviously just my opinion. We're going to teach children that bullies exist and how to stick up for themselves beyond anything other than that. Because guess what? You ain't going to stop bullies.
No,
So the
no, you're
fight
not.
against them is Few
You
taught
got to
me to
find.
sense.
You got to. I think with bullies, I don't know. Like my little 6-year-old nephew, I think every day about him being bully, and I'm sure I have to go kill the person. But is that his mother and I both. It's like figure out how you're going to handle it, you know. And his mom says, yeah, and that doesn't mean you can go and ask Auntie to fix it. And I said, figure it out. And if you can't, then we go to the next step. But I said, don't. So I fully appreciate what you're saying. We're not gonna get rid of bullies. Unfortunately, we're not gonna get rid of bullies when they are married or when they're in a relationship or with their children. It's out there. So how do you deal with it? And how do you make the person suffering from it just life just a little bit nicer and a little bit more peaceful?
Oh,
And
here,
that's really
I get you, Jen. What's helped me with them is recognizing, first of all, I can be a bully. And the reason why I can be is because I know it works to get what I want.
Mhm.
Okay.
Or
Um,
manipulative. That's a kinder word.
okay. Well, here's the thing. At the end of
I've
the
been doing
day,
that my whole life.
being able to relate to the way other people behave and recognize I'm capable of the same type of behavior allows me to empathize, I guess, but
Mhm.
also recognize that it has nothing to do with me. So what I try and like, I don't have children, but when I do deal with people that are dealing with bully type personalities, the most helpful thing I found to show them is that you do realize what they're doing has nothing to do with you, and
Yeah,
then you set your
that's like
boundaries.
anything.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it is, Jan. But to try
You
and
don't
I
have
guess
kids? It's too bad you don't have kids. Like you probably um, have tremendous adults if you were raising them, but from what I'm
thank
listening
you.
to.
You're saying I'd be a good father.
You would.
Thank you. But
You
no,
might be a bit of a manipulative father, but you'd be a good father.
well, I get what I want.
I do too.
But no,
And I'll never apologize for it.
no, why should we? But
Well,
what I say is I have my peers and I have other people's kids in my life, and I'm only 41. There's still a future. Who knows what'll happen? But
oh, you've got so much ahead of you.
yeah, and we
Oh,
can do it until the day. Hey, if Rod Stewart can do it in his 70s,
yeah.
I can do it. Okay. My
You're
biggest fear
halfway.
though,
You're on your way. I
well,
mean,
but Jan, I
my
don't want to be in my 60s playing with my kid. That's the
no, you
biggest thing,
don't.
right?
No.
What were you gonna say? You were gonna
I
say
like
something.
no, I was okay. I don't have children, and that was, I don't sit here now in my 70s and think, oh my God, what am I going to do? It was a decision I made. I've never regretted it. But again, like my little nephew is just he's just my life. But again, I can send him home. And
Right.
I knew when it came down to life, when I started my businesses, I thought, okay, you got a choice because when I go in 100%. So I couldn't have a child and have the business I wanted to build. One was going to hurt. And people will say, "Oh, what are you talking about? You can have it all." Not the way I want it all. So that's just my personal opinion. A lot of people would say I'm selfish, and that's fine. Probably I am, but I'm not selfish in making sure that I can help other people or other people or other situations. But am I selfish with my own time? Very much. Yeah.
It's rightfully so. To that, can I just say my opinion on what you're saying is everything I do is selfish and for others at the same time. But I'm not doing it selflessly. Like when I'm helping other people, I do it because it helps me.
Yeah.
It helps me to be who the person I want to be.
Yeah.
And that is selfish of me, but others benefit from that. So I think that there's, I guess, the whole what does that mean? Like when people are like, well, it's selfish. Well, what does it mean to be selfish? Well, it means you don't care about others. No, to me, it doesn't.
No, that's not true. No.
Right, exactly. So it's that rigidity that people
Not
drive
true at
into.
all. No, I've never ever thought of myself as what people say. Oh, well, you're really selfish. No, I'm not, because just what you said. Yes, I get exactly what I want 90% of the time, but so many people and organizations benefit from it. So that's not selfish. If I was just sitting in a little mansion somewhere and hoarding everything and not just saying, oh no, this is just me, 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 that's a different story. But I'm not. But I don't. I just go in and I think, you know what? I know we can make this work. And if I get a no, I just go around and figure out how are we going to do it then?
Well, that's
And
this is that what you just said is interesting because I was talking to somebody recently about how do you deal with no, and they said all the different ways that they get around the word no, and I was like, no, but how do you deal with no? Like, how do you deal with not getting what you want? Like, that's a
well,
totally
usually I
different.
do. Usually I
Well,
do.
this is the thing,
Yeah,
but usually I
I
do.
just think you may not get this instant, like I want this brand new vehicle. Okay, that didn't happen. But you go around, you get exactly what you wanted, but it's better. To me, the old saying, no means next opportunity. I've been doing that since I was a teenager.
Well,
I
hold on.
mean,
Let me give you an example of recently. I was with a group of people that were all just talking way too fast and loud, and it was getting very emotional. And a part of me wanted to say, everybody needs to shut the fuck up. Okay. Now, I did not say that because it's not in line with being the person I want to be. But if I was the same guy that I used to be, I would have said it, and guess what? It would have worked. Everybody would have shut the fuck up. The thing is, what did I do in that moment? I accepted that things weren't going to be the way I wanted them to be, and I coped with discomfort. And it just, to be honest, to me, that's more of the progression in who I've become today versus who I
Yeah.
was, which was just getting what I want, behaving in a way, no matter what it meant, to
Yeah.
get what I
Wanted to
want.
go. Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying, Jen?
Oh, I was very much like that. And then, of course, the alcohol only fueled it and made me braver and made me, more angry and blah, blah, blah. And if you're lucky enough to be able to say, well, I can't, you can't have that. And I'll say, yeah, I can, or I'll go buy it. I, if you're in a position where you can get everything you want, great. But I hope it's not just out of greed. I think greed's better than selfish. Selfish isn't to me.
Or, I'll use a word, people don't like this word, but I think it's an interesting one that a lot of us can evaluate, which is entitlement. And entitlement, I don't mean it as I deserve something I haven't earned. I mean it as I'm doing what I'm doing because I want to. I'm not doing that because I don't want to do that. I'm doing this because I want to do this. Well,
Mhm.
what gives you the right? Like, for example, I want to be heard. That's a simple one. When I do an ABC exercise with people, a lot of times the consequence is anger, the activating event. This person won't let me speak. The belief is I should be heard. So that belief becomes a strong demand in the system. I should be heard. Well, what does it mean that you're not? And who says that you should be? What makes you think your opinion matters? Now, I'm not saying it doesn't, but that strong anger that occurs in a person to me is that from that strong demand that they're holding. And they don't see that as a sense of entitlement. They see it as, well, come on, shouldn't I be heard? Sure. But can you not recognize that you have a personal demand? And what does it mean that you're not? Do you get what I'm saying, Jen?
Absolutely. I do
It's
very
just,
much.
and to me, that's been alleviating, stress in my own life when I
Mhm.
recognize my own personal demands. It's not that I go around telling people they need to listen to me and I need to be heard. It's, wow, I do have a
But
demand.
don't you find now that you're listened to without even having to open your mouth? People are,
Oh yeah, that's amazing observation because it does. It's like when you stop aiming for that, it
mhm.
just starts to happen. It's
Yeah,
like I tried
yeah.
so hard. I wanted to be validated for so much of my life, and I
Oh, me too.
right.
I wanted to be validated. I wanted to be appreciated. I wanted to be told how good I was. I want people to say thank you. And now I just think, you know what? If you do, great. If you don't, that's on you. Or maybe, whatever.
Okay.
So, and I always say it's because, well, I'm older now. That's really kind of not true because this could have happened when I was younger, but I'm just grateful that it did happen. And, I can enjoy my life the way I was pushing for years and years and years to get. And now just relaxed and it's all happening because I'm doing what works for me. And in turn, I get what I want without having to be rude or be a bully or manipulative or all the words that, especially, when I was younger and in business, she's a bitch. Absolutely. Absolutely, I was. Um, am I still a bitch? Could be. But
The ability
what's
to
your
be.
definition of bitch? It's a bitch to you? And it's kind of fun to get where I am in life because you got so much to look back on and no matter what happens, like you're not going to lose your job now. You know what I mean?
Well, and
Um,
hold on. Can I just challenge not challenge, but point out on the opinion of bitch? I like that is an ambiguous word, but I guess one of the words would be disrespectful. And I don't think you'd want to be called
I
disrespectful,
was
regard.
never disrespectful.
Okay. Okay. So
Never.
with that said,
No.
that doesn't mean people don't call you that. And
No,
they
still
are
do.
right now. Here's the thing: it doesn't mean you are that. And if here's you, do you have the capacity? I would think you do. I don't know. I haven't received it, but when that scenario comes up, it's not about it's who do you want to be in that moment, not getting what you want. It's like what I really want is this person to fuck off, but I'm going to respond in a way that is respectful, and
Hmm.
they can think I'm a bitch for not giving them what they want, right? But I'm not going to become a disrespectful, rude, arrogant. These
Yeah.
words that could be considered bitchy,
Yeah.
if you
And
will.
there were times like in business when people wouldn't say it to my face, but would say, well, she's a real bitch. In essence, what it boiled down to is you don't want to cross her if she believes in what she's doing. She's going to do it. She didn't take, I didn't take from people. I didn't insult people when I was drinking all day long. But when I was, and that was not when I had my businesses, but I could be really awful when I was drinking, so angry and it was, you wake up the next day and think, oh my God. And to this day, and I'll steal that from AA, that, make amends. Ugh, I was scared. I had 8 people and I thought, you know what? I guess if they walk away, they walk away because they can't deal with me. But none of them walked away. But I still, not, but I, however, I still, I'm very conscious of it, what I put them through. And I'll never forget that, which is a good thing. So,
And you feel it, right? You feel it yourself. You don't need other people to tell you what you did
no,
wrong. You know,
I don't.
let me ask you this, Jan. Have you ever woken up and thought, man, I wish I drank more yesterday?
If I'm really hungover, I might have, yeah.
Oh, you think I wish I still had some so I could fucking get
Yeah.
the what are
Oh,
they, the hair of the
Aaron,
dog?
I was never without it. I mean, skip the dishes were, like I was on speed dial without them, and they'd run to get it and bring it. Like especially in California, it was Pinot Grigio, Netflix, and skip the dishes. So I never had to leave the house. Do you know what I mean by skip
Yeah,
the
yeah,
dishes?
yeah, I do. It's
Yeah,
like an Uber Eats.
yeah. And where I lived in Long Beach, they didn't have that, but Vaughn's grocery store, they got to know me, and Christ, they deliver 24 hours a day, whatever I wanted. So, but I no, I never woke up and thought, oh, I wish I drank more. I just,
Here's the thing. When people tell me, is does life get better, or in early recovery, they'll say, I feel like things are getting worse. I stop and I just say, I'll tell you what, I've never woken up and thought, man, do I wish I drank more last night.
yeah,
So regardless of where you're at, just remember that. Like I wake up some days and like even what you just said, Jan, there's a part of me that goes, oh fuck, what yesterday maybe it was anger. Anger is one of the ones I still struggle with today. When I get
me
angry,
too.
there's a part of me that might behave in a way, say something, I regret it immediately, and now I have to make amends like you're talking.
Yes.
Fuck, I hate making amends because now there's humility and guilt and shame and all those fucking discomfortable feelings.
Yeah.
Um, but it's who I want to be. And to be honest, I embrace discomfort at times and I expose myself to minor forms of it because it helps me. Like I say, simple one, I watch commercials. I say that to people. You know what else I do? I paint in silence. I'm like, even though because I like doing art,
Mhm.
even though while I'm doing art, there's a part of me that's like, let's listen to music while we're painting, or like while we're doing a jigsaw puzzle. Let's put on the radio. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I get it. You know why I don't do that? Because it doesn't feed the part of my personality that I'm trying to help guide me through life.
Yeah.
So recognizing, wow, yeah, there's a part of me that really wants to do this. Is that a helpful thing to do?
Yeah.
It's not just, well, it's going to make me feel good, so I'm going to do it, which was a different type of decision
Yeah.
when we
No,
lived a different.
I
You get
very
what I'm
much.
saying,
I
Jen?
get it. Absolutely.
Okay,
Because I
let me
did
ask
it.
you something because this is something we got away from, but I wanted to revisit, which was the vault. We were going to do a vault, and it was going to have smart recovery stuff in it. So we
Oh,
said we could
yeah.
put you would put Joseph Gerstein
Yeah,
was
I'd
his
put
name.
yeah, like you can't, I mean, I
You
guess
can
when
put
I think,
anything. You put whole people and cities and
yeah,
shit.
I would put him in there because he's the epitome of smart. Um, and even, I mean, I even contacted him and he donated to the Canadians
You know what he
giving his,
donated to us?
yeah,
Traitor.
yeah. Well, when I met him 2 years ago at the conference in Utah, he said, Canada, you got to get on your own. Canada's got to have this, this, this. So I thought, you know what? So I sent him a note and I said, well, Joe, year and a half later, here's what we've got. And he came back and he said, oh, bravo, it's a milestone. I said, so while we're at it, this is what we're doing with Giving Tuesday. And so he did, he donated. So I met him. I just think there's just I'm sure he's got 100 faults like we all do, but there's just something constant about the man. And I think that's what smart is. A smart is constant and smart is just there. So I would be him that would go in the vault. What's his vault? When am I going to open it? Or I'm
We're gonna
not going to
open up
open
in
it.
100 years. I'm saying in 100 years
Well,
we're
I'll
gonna
be
open.
here in 100 years.
None of us are gonna be here in 100 years.
Some good if they're young enough. I mean, but
I
I won't
God,
be.
but
Okay.
if any of them, it's Joe Gerstein. He's going to be 192, still doing meetings. Okay, that's what's going to happen from the
Yeah, I wouldn't
vault.
doubt it. Yeah. Now let me finish because I got
Okay,
carried away. Okay, so
okay,
Gerstein goes in, absolutely.
sure.
Um, the handbooks and the with the latest additions, the latest changes, they go in. Every single handbook goes in to hit
Oh,
anybody
so you
that might
see the
be.
evolution of it. You
Yeah,
can, okay.
exactly. The God, say no. I think another thing that would be is like the stories of lived experience should go in there for people that could then look back and say, "Whoa, are you kidding me?" Um, but just the type of advancement with meetings that we have, like the the openness, the like it's growing because people are not judged. The to me that's so important, that should be in there, because who knows in 100 years if it's could still be around, but even if it isn't, like, I think whoever might open it would say, oh, did people really do that? Because who knows in 100 years of what we're going to do or what people will do. 100 years ago, I didn't think what was happening would be happening now. So that's about the only things that I think I would put in there. I would put in, what else? The handbooks, the type of meetings, Gerstein, the support system, the it's kind of like, I don't know, I think this is used in some innuendo, but once you've had SMART, you don't usually go anywhere else.
Once you've
I
had
know.
smart, you can't go back. This,
Or
Jan
you
wanted to be
don't.
PG for any of our children listeners of what gone black can't go back.
I know, I'm not, that's what I was not going to say
Innuendo.
that. But once you've gone SMART, you don't go back, and you don't, I think the success ratio, it
Can I
needs to
hold
be,
on, Jen? Can I say something to that? Is
uh-huh.
people will say to me that they've stopped, and I'm sure you've experienced this too. People come a lot from the 12-step program to our meetings, and they're like a scorned lover who just left a bad relationship, and they've got a lot of things to say. And one
They're
of
just mad.
right, and one of the things that they'll say is they were just too much like a cult. And I'll go, well, welcome to your new one. And
Yeah.
and people are like, we're not a cult. And then they'll in the next week they'll go, so I was at the dinner and I was trying to tell everyone in my family to come to a smart meeting and that they should check out. I'm like, you
And
do realize what you're doing?
yeah.
You're
Yeah.
you're you're spreading the gospel.
It's a kind cult,
We
but
are, and here's the thing. Jokes aside, we're not a cult. I jokingly, but to the thing that they point us out to be, like, I'm like, when you compare that culturalistic fellowship, if that occurs, there is a culture within our community, and you do sometimes feel like a bit of an outsider when you first come because of the language that's being used.
oh, you do. Yeah, I agree.
People cross talk to you. Oh, Jenny,
I agree with you. I say no, you can't do that.
it's I encourage cross talking, but not
Yeah.
the
Crosstalk is a
personal.
whole different story.
Exactly.
But the and then, oh, here's what gets me. And someone's checking in, and and I'll say at the beginning, let people check in. We got a group chat. We can talk about everything there. Last night again, this lady was talking, and this one came in and said, "Let me tell you something." And I said, "You know what? If you do that again, I'm going to mute you over and over." Did you not hear me? Oh yeah. I said, "You got all the time in the world to check in. Why can't you give her that?" Oh, I never thought about it. So that's the kind of thing that I just say, 'cause it's not being rude. It's just like respect. You want respect, so do it to the rest of the group.
Well, to
You
that,
know?
Jen, if you ever get a chance to come to one of my groups, you'll recognize something I do that I've gotten a few people come to me being like, I don't like that. I lock my mic. So in order for you to speak, you need to put up your hand, right? So
Mhm.
nobody can talk unless I've unlocked their microphone. And it's
Oh, good
because
for
of,
you.
well, and people don't like it because they want to. And the funny
Want to
thing is,
butt in.
here's the
Yeah.
thing, once again, entitlement. But I didn't do it until we get over 100 people typically in my groups. So once I started hitting those numbers in the group, I had to start locking the mics
So what are
because
yours are online? Your meetings are
yeah,
all online?
yeah,
You
on
get
Zoom.
100 people? How do you do that?
I just have built an audience. It's
How
a
long
lot
you
of
been
people
doing
come
it?
to my
How
since
long?
2 years. Yeah.
Good for you.
No, and to be honest, the most we ever had was 158 people in the one group, like I saw on screen at once. But on average, we get just over 100 people a week. And once it got to 75, 80 people is when I turned to doing polls instead of check-ins, because I can't go around the room and check in with
Yeah.
everyone. I can't ask you all what you want to do. So now I put up a poll, people vote what we're going to do
Yeah.
that day.
That's a good
But
idea.
it's been great. It's been naturally progressive.
Yeah, but you
But,
see, you've got an entertaining personality.
well, thank you.
And you very much do, and you'd be fun. People find it fun to go to your meetings.
We do. We have a
Job,
good time.
yeah, that's what I mean. And to me, that's more important than being able to sit there and say, I know all the tools and I can read this to you. Well, we can all read, or someone can read to us at home, but we don't need to.
You know what I say to people
So
about reading the tools is I say it's a lot like reading a book on how to swim. Like you can read books on how to swim. You know, you can read books on how to play an instrument. You want to read a book on how to play guitar, you can do that. How would you like me to come to you and say, I can teach you how to play guitar? Look at all these books I've read. You'd want to see me play guitar, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you want to see me swim? If
yeah,
I want to get you to learn how to swim, get in the water and I'll show you.
getting the cool. Yeah, no,
You know,
I
it's like, and I say to people, sometimes the simplest things are so complex. Like I know how to tie my shoe. You ever tried to tell someone how to tie a shoe?
Oh my God, you can't.
No, and then I'm going to show you
Okay.
something that you might
Okay.
enjoy. And that was a Mount Rushmore for Jan. So if we were to create like a Mount Rushmore that had four faces that you got to choose as the most influential people in your life, who would you put as the Jan round Mount Rushmore?
They can be celebrities or
Anyone, it could be your
well
mom and
known.
dad. It doesn't have to be even people
No,
you've heard of.
my mom. You read my book. My mom and dad aren't going on there.
Okay.
Um,
Hey, that was a good little what do they call it? A cliffhanger. Grab the book, guys. I'll put the link for that down below.
I think family wise, I have twin sisters who are 13 years older than me, who are my I could say surrogate or whatever mothers, but they would be they could have their own together, so they would be up there because they got me. They raised me the first 6 years of my life. My mother was there, but she was too busy, so they'd be that's one of definitely would be up there. And it's unusual because they're 86 and I'm 73, and I lost one 3 years ago, and it still feels weird. Like you were supposed to be here forever. Do you know what I mean? So they're very important, but it's unusual to have a sister that old. So they would be there. Um, let me think. That's a hard question to just throw out there, and I have to think about it.
That's why I like to put
Um,
people on the spot. Don't worry.
you definitely do, yeah. There's another individual in my life. His name is Peter Thomas, and he's been a mentor and a friend of mine for about 12 years. And he's got me where I am. He helped me realize I had to get clean. He's a Canadian. I went into business with him. He's the one man that I got every penny back. Everybody else ran with it. He would be up there. Um, I talk frequently about this little boy I'm talking about who just ran in here right now and is having a hard time being quiet. He would be another one. And in the celebrity world or in the, I'm not American, but I would put your Mr. President Obama would be up there because he stands for everything that I believe in. That's
That's
it.
beautiful.
That's who would
Beautiful
be
Mount
there.
Rushmore, I think. And I appreciate, you know what, Jen, I'm going to go off from the listeners, but obviously stay on with me because I still want to talk to you for a bit. But I'd like to do this again if you don't mind too, because I think that this can create a great dialogue between our community and yourself. You can't possibly be there answering all their questions. And
Mhm.
what I'd like to do is possibly go to the community and say, hey guys, what would you like me to ask Jen next time we speak? And bring those questions to you.
I'd
And
love that.
you know what
I'd
I
love
mean?
that.
And
Yeah.
act as like a conduit in that community. Okay.
Yeah.
So here, I'm just going to sign off and then you and I have
Okay.
to talk. Okay. Guys, as
Okay.
always, I appreciate you listening to us. Please, as I mentioned, click down below for access to Jan's book and our smartrecovery.org website for future meetings. Until next time, peace.